Education 1030 students. I hope everyone had a great week last week. So last week we really dove into managing our time, where were we putting and focusing our energy, and how were we balancing all of our responsibilities, and really looking at a plan and building out a schedule that kind of helps us be successful, and looking at our strengths and playing on those when we're thinking about building that schedule up so we can be more successful using tools like maybe our phone, or using tools such as um, putting reminders in and doing priorities and putting them on a list and planning out your week, which is really helping you be more successful and staying on top of things. So this week we are working in Unit 1, and this is going to be our last chapter for this unit. So we're working on Chapter 4 in the text, and this is all about discovering your learning style and how important it is for you to know not only your learning style, but also looking at how are you successful with what you do, your strengths, and using your personality type along with that to help you be able to study and improve on your studies. So I wanted to draw your attention first to our course calendar that we have in the syllabus, because I want to walk through some things that's going to be happening this week and next week. So you should still be continuing your work on the Exploring the Field project. So you are going to have to submit that video reflection. So you have 3 video reflections you will do this entire term. You have one that's due on October the 3rd. So if you haven't started on that, go ahead and make sure you do. Remember, everything that has to do with this Exploring the Field project is underneath Exploring the Field. There is a section in there specifically for the videos. Now remember, since this is called Exploring, even if you have taken the Focus 2 career assessments and maybe it's guided you toward thinking about different career, or maybe it solidified your choice and you're on the right path as far as choosing a major program of study here at Water State, I still want you to explore, and that's what these video sections are really going to allow you to do. Under each division, you'll have some interview videos with those who do different work maybe you haven't thought about. So what you'll do, as I mentioned before, you're going to click on something that you might want to learn more about, a career. And under that video, you're going to see where it says reflection. And when you click on that, that's going to allow you to pull up the document and download and type inside of it. So all the guided questions are there for you. You're just answering the questions that go along to really get you to think about this career and what you've learned and reflected upon, if that is really something that you would want to pursue and maybe explore a little bit further. So you'll just be picking one reflection and you will be submitting it to the Dropbox. Now I'm going to show you where you put all of the Exploring the Field documents for the project. So if you go to Assessments tab, you're going to choose Dropbox from the menu, and you're going to have to scroll all the way down toward the bottom, and there's a section called Exploring the Field Dropboxes. Now, I have received your topic presentation, so that is what you're going to choose to present about. But if you scroll down a little bit more, you're going to see a file that is named Exploring the Field Reflection 1 Dropbox. And then you'll have 2 and 3. So you're going to be submitting it into the one that says Exploring the Field Reflection 1 Dropbox, because this is the first one that you're completing. So just make sure that you're aware of the date, that it is due by October 3rd. So that gives you, a little over a week and a half to get that done. Also, you'll notice too that since this is our last chapter in Unit 1, next week we are going to be working on our unit exam. And I will be going over kind of getting you to look at how to use your reading organizers that you've been putting together throughout the 4 weeks that we've been in school so far, to think about how can we use this as a great study tool for us. Obviously, you have your quizzes, which you can take more than one time, which allows you to really be able to see the material more than once. But using the organizers or the outlines provided, how can they be useful for you as a study tool? So we're going to be talking about that, but I did want to draw your focus to, we do have our exam that week. You will have a window of time where that exam will be open, where you will be allowed to take the test and when it will be closing. So I will send a separate video discussing that for you. So this week, as I mentioned, we are going to be doing Discovering How You Learn and working specifically in Chapter 4 in our textbook. So some of the things I'm going to be allowing you to look at are what we call these reading resources, which I say are really good for you because these learning resources allow you to connect to the content a little bit deeper. They really allow you to be able to go beyond the textbook. So I always encourage students, those are there for you to help you and guide your learning. So if you look at Chapter 4, we have the learning resources available for you. You're going to have some videos that I feel are going to be good, especially for my visual audio learners. Really diving more into learning styles and then what we call multiple intelligence. So there are 3 videos I put here for you. So the first video is really talking about not only your learning styles, but how are they connected to what we call multiple intelligences, like kinesthetic, are you a visual, interpersonal, intrapersonal, really looking at your learning style, your preferred style. And what this tells you is it's going to allow you to see how you learn best. That way you can communicate and what your style is, because sometimes instructors are not going to teach to your preferred learning style. So it's for you to know not only what your style is of learning, but then how can you make some adjustments when you are studying the material so it works for you, so you can comprehend and really retain the knowledge. The second video is going to be talking about kind of the brain research behind learning style and how important it is for you to know it. It is a really informative video to really dive a step further than just looking at multiple intelligence. And then really, how is your personality playing a part in your learning, right? And looking at that and connecting it to your learning style. So those 3 videos are really useful for you. Of course, we do have the reading organizer there for you. Please make sure you're filling those out because that was what I was explaining to you is a wonderful study tool for you. I do have the PowerPoint slides that go along with Chapter 4, so I feel that that's going to help you be able to look at what to specifically focus on and make sure you read Chapter 4 as well. So for the assignments this week, you're going to have to complete what we call a VARC online assessment. So VARC is really looking at a few, not all, of the learning styles. So you have visual, oral, reading, write, and also kinesthetic, which would be your hands-on. So this assessment is really allowing you to look at your learning style. So that's why I said it might be for you to go through and watch those videos first after you read the chapter. So it asks you some questions, and you're going to click on after read the statements, you will click on it, and then it's going to give you some results. Now, this is what I want you to understand. You are not actually going to submit your results from this assessment. There is a piece, like another component that's going to be going along with this assessment. So once you've taken the VARC questionnaire assessment and you get your results, I want you to kind of decipher through and look at it to see your learning preferences under these 4 categories. Now keep in mind, there are many more than that, right? So we have your multiple intelligence, we have your personality type, the different learning styles, they're all connected, but this is just breaking it down a little bit further and letting you see under this umbrella, where would you fall? Obviously, we also need to look at, your personality type. We're looking at the multiple intelligence. So we're looking at all these components. Now, once you get your results and you look through it and you kind of understand that, you're going to complete this worksheet assignment, which is already in a Word document for you. Now, this section is really important because in the book, on our textbook, it's going to be talking about in Chapter 4, how can we make some adjustments and adapt? Because remember, I said sometimes your professor is not always going to be teaching to your preferred learning style. But now that we know what our learning style personality type is, and looking at which multiple intelligence you would fall under, we're really going to be using this for all of our classes. And what I mean by that is this table, you're going to fill it out. So what you'll do first is you're going to list in the very first column all of the classes you're taking this semester. Okay, so I provided you with an example so you can see kind of how to fill this out. And this is very useful information for you because I want to see those adaptations you're making. I want to see those adjustments. What strategies are going to help you best in the classroom to be successful? So you're going to see the first column where it says psychology. So you, like to say you are taking a psychology class, even though I have an example of it there, I don't want you to just leave it. I do want you to put your own. So you're going to put all the classes you're taking. The second column, I want you to tell me what your instructor's teaching style is. Now, many times people will put, they just lecture, right? Or they just talk, or we work in small groups. That's not really what I'm asking you. If you look on the example I provided for you, yes, we're telling and indicating what that teacher does. You know, they do use a lot of PowerPoints and they lecture most of the time. But what would we put that under? What category would a lecture or a PowerPoint fall under? Well, it would be under visual and auditory, right? So we would put that down. Now, the next one is you're going to put what your learning style is based off that assessment you took, right? So you're going to put that, and if you want to put your multiple intelligence under there, I would even say that would be a great idea because remember, we're making those connections, right? So we're not only looking at VARC, we're looking at the whole piece. And then you're going to say, is what the teacher is doing in the classroom really matching and aligning up with what your learning style is, right? So let's look at the example I gave you. The psychology class, the teacher, their teaching style or the professor's teaching style is visual and auditory. You are a read-write learner, right? So that's not really going to help you. So your style of learning doesn't match up with how they're teaching, so you'd put no. Now, here's the most important piece to this puzzle. You have to think about what strategies could I use to make modifications? How do I need to adjust and adapt so I can make sure I understand the content and I can use it and apply it in the way that I need to? So since this psychology class is not really lining up, what they put is, since they are read-write, thinking about what read and write learners do. They like to read. They take information by reading it and writing it out. So that's something that they need to do. So because they're doing lecture, first thing I think of is notes. They need to take notes. They need to write notes. So they're going to read the chapter before they actually come to class to hear the lecture. That's going to help them get a base knowledge started of what's going on. Then, while they're reading the chapter, they're going to be taking some notes, right, while they're reading on their own. When they get to class, they're going to take lecture notes. And they're going to try to review both of those sets of notes, and they're going to write notes out again. And what that allows them to do, because they are reading and writing learner, every time that they're writing and reading more and going back and reviewing and writing, this allows them to be able to retain the information and apply it in a way that makes sense for them. So say you're not a read-write learner, note-taking and reading, you still need to read the material, but that's not going to be your preferred method. We need to try a different strategy for you. And these are going to really differ between your classes based on your teaching style. Will your learning style change in this column? No. You still need to put it because we're still giving you're getting a visual, right? It doesn't match up. You still need to put it down in that column. But they may change based on the instructor's teaching style. So just think of it like that. But what I really want you to focus on is what kind of strategies do I need to put? How can I adapt so I can make sure I'm getting the content? And a lot of this information is really coming from your textbook this week, the adaptation section. So make sure you're really paying attention to that. But also, you're going to see that in the slide notes in your outline for notes for this section. So it's really going to help you make that connection so you know kind of some things you may want to try. The other thing I want you to remember is that when you're doing this, you can't forget about what intelligence groups you would fall under. Think about your personality. Think about your professor's personality. All these things play a key role in you being successful. And when you're putting these strategies, these are things that you'll actually want to try to do this semester and implement moving forward. So once you're finished and you completed this chart, you're going to save it, and then you're going to, I have a link here to the Dropbox. You're going to click on the link and submit it there. You also have your Chapter 4 quiz. Remember, you can take the quiz multiple times during that window that it is open. I always suggest if you didn't do too good the first time, go ahead and take it again. But one thing I do want to remind you of, it helps if you go through the learning resources and read the textbook chapter first before you're taking this quiz, right? Because that way you have that base knowledge and understanding of what we are learning in this specific chapter. All right, and don't forget, you do need to start submitting those exploring the field reflections, starting with the very first one due on October the 3rd. I will email you once I have the video on our Unit 1 exam and how we're going to be using those reading organizers as a study guide and what that would look like for you in terms of studying for this exam over 4 chapters. All right, guys, I hope you have a fabulous week, and until next time, take care.